journal, were there passages in there indicative of a request for mental health help?
Yes.
Can you read what's been identified here as page 6 of that journal?
Yes, the shooter writes, I have zero help, as you can see all bold, for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the school.
He's writing it in his school notebook. He's telling them over and over. So that was what was in his locker. This is a landmark decision, a landmark verdict, a jury convicting notorious school shooter Ethan Crumbley's parents for their part in the murders of 4 high school students and the aggravated assault shootings of 7 others at the school. What exactly did they do? What inflamed the jury? To Jarrett Ferrantino, if you had to sum up as you finish your final closing statement to the jury and you want to leave them with 5 sentences, what would you say Mr. and Mrs. Crumbley did?
The theme of that closing, Nancy, would be their reckless disregard for Ethan. They disregarded his physical needs. They disregarded his mental health. They disregarded his hygiene. They armed him with a weapon. They disregarded the statements that he made. All of those negligent disregards set the table for these killings. They gave him the bullets in their disregard for their son. They literally provided him with a firearm, and they failed to protect those children. They failed to get him out of that school building on that very day because they were more concerned about getting back to work and addressing their own personal needs. They ignored this boy's cries for help. That's why they're convicted, and that's why they should spend every single day possible in jail.
Defiant to the end, insisting they had no part, no responsibility at all in their son's school shooting with mass victims. And that defiance, I believe, is what did them in. Never once did they say, I'm not the victim here. Throughout, they considered themselves the victims and the martyrs. As a matter of fact, wait till you hear what the mother actually said in court. Listen.
In what prosecutors are calling a slap in the face to victims and their families, Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of Michigan school shooter Ethan Crumbley, is trying to avoid going behind bars after being convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Crumbley is asking a judge to sentence her to house arrest in the guest house of her attorney, a house prosecutors say is an upgrade to the place Crumbley used to call home.
Amazing. Amazing. And I want to quote what one of the victims, 14-year-old Hannah's dad, her dad, Steve St. Juliana, said, quote, not once did they say, I wish I would have locked the gun up, or even acknowledge they are not the victims in this scenario. As a matter of fact, going so far to discuss, to plan, to fantasize about effing up the prosecutor. The judge exasperated with the two of them, the victims' families crying in court. Is there any way for the parents to make a comeback? You heard, joining us today, Dr. Kendall Crowns describing what the children went through if they did not take a direct shot to the head. And we're talking about children as young as 14 years old, bleeding out on the floor of the school hall, their last moments. And now the parents wonder, did they call out for mommy? Did they wonder where I was? Did they ask, Daddy, help me? That's going to ring in these parents' ears for the rest of their lives, as Crumbley's mom asked to do her jail time in the guest house of her lawyer. Our prayers tonight with the victims' families. And to the Crumbleys, rot in hell.